You've built your business over decades, and now it's time to think about that once in a lifetime exit. You've come to the right place. Here, you will hear business exit professionals talk about what you should know before exit. Hi, I'm Armando Roman, family CFO at Axiom Founders Family Office, a wealth management firm in Scottsdale for founders' families. Here at Axiom, we know you want to be financially confident and secure. And the problem is, there's so much noise and just plain bad information out there to make informed choices for your family, especially when you own a valuable business. And that can make you feel confused and frustrated, which is why the FBI asked me to train 400 FBI special agents, all of them CPAs, to train them in their own personal financial planning. So call my office today to schedule your 30-minute founder strategy call at 480 367 9000. There's no cost, no obligation. You have nothing to lose. Enjoy this episode of the Founders Guidepost. Hi, Armando Roman here with the Founders Guidepost with John McAdams today of Pioneer Business Ventures. John, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a cloudy day in the great state of New Jersey, but
Yeah,
it's warm.
sunny and
It's
blue
warm.
skies in Arizona.
It always is.
So, John, we've known each other quite a while, and I'm very impressed with your career trajectory, and I'm really excited about what you're doing today because you have in the past done some really great things with big companies that are doing phenomenal things. And your focus as a private business consultant is helping those companies that really need your expertise. And sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. And we'll have a conversation about what you do, how you help them, and what your focus is, so that those who really could benefit from your experience, that they'll be able to reach out and have a conversation with you. How does that sound?
It sounds great.
Good, good. And then, John, just a couple things about you. I've got you shared a book with me a while back that you wrote. If you can see this, the 1 hour business plan.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen that. Yeah.
yeah, I bet you spent many hours on that years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and then you're, of course, a Wharton grad. And people who have the Wharton pedigree often go off with big companies, big name companies, international companies, and do great things as you've done in your career trajectory. Like I said, now as I had the privilege of being at one of your group business sessions recently, I got to meet some of the people you work with, and they're people who are grinding every day to build a better future for themselves and family. And with your help, they're getting there.
They're fun, aren't they? It's a good group. Good group we had there in Scottsdale.
Yeah. So let me ask you, the book that you wrote, the 1 hour business plan, you wrote that 10 or so years ago. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. 2013 it came
and
out.
and as you were
Yeah.
drafting that, you had something in mind that you wanted to accomplish with that. Has it reached those goals you were thinking of?
Yeah, I guess I taught at night at the Wharton School for 13 years, strategic business planning, and I had my students were adult. There was a non-degree program, and I really wanted to take what I did there and put it out in the business community, worldwide instead of just in Greater Philadelphia region. So that's what the impetus for it was, and I realized how much of a need there was. There's so many people that are successful in business but don't have formal business training, and I guess they have a hunger for it. So a little bit of business planning can go a long way. And I really wrote it for the guy that just got laid off, or I wrote it for the guy that wants to start a new career, or a new American, the underprivileged.
Hmm.
And really, we wound up using it were the guys that were already successful that wanted to be more successful.
Well, that just
And
shows the versatility of the message.
yeah, and I learned a lot. I learned that the marketing of a book is 100 times harder than the writing of the book, and the you really it's like starting a venture into itself because you're on the speaking circuit and you're doing workshops and talks like everywhere as much as you can on podcasts, radio, TV, Like it's really takes you away from your core business, which I was unexpected, but it's kind of a cool thing. It exceeded the sales expectation. It was in every Barnes and Noble store, CEO Read, of course, Amazon, Books a Million, and it was on Barnes and Noble Face Out on the end cap, and I didn't expect that. You got to walk into a Barnes and Noble store and see that. And I asked them why, and they said, well, we plan to launch you, and then we're going to put you online. So you're only going to be here for a little while, and then we thought your book would sell well online, which it did. And then, that's what happened. They only had me there for 9 months, but it sold really well during that 9 months, I'll tell you.
Well, that end cap space is coveted for sure.
I didn't expect that most of the readers would be women. I didn't expect that the audiobook to do as well as it did, and most of that was men. In the ebook sales, I projected at 10 to 15%. It was more like 33%.
Wow.
So people read it 1,000 audio tech business book summaries. It's probably about 10,000 copies, in all forms, and it was only meant to be in other English-speaking countries, but it found its way into non-English-speaking countries too, which is good and bad. And anyway, so basically, the message did get out. People like business planning about as much as they like going to the dentist. But if you do it, you're going to have a great smile, And but it really just I didn't expect so many people just to do their value proposition and their marketing plan and then go into business and ignore the rest of the business plan. And so many people did that. For startups, they just started making money, and then the hell with the business plan, I'm making money. What any business plan? I didn't expect that, So anyway, I hope my next book is not about business planning because I'm tired of talking about it. When you lecture on it for 13 years and you're on the speaking circuit for 5 years or however long it's on, it's I want to talk about something else.
Yeah.
But business is fun when you're making money, Armando, as you know.
So John, a lot of founders who we talk with are towards the latter part of their career. They're realizing they have to get some succession in place. But there are a number of people who are in that spot who they really want to ramp up and grow the business. It's been a lifestyle business for a long time, and it's done well for them. And they realize that they can kind of turn on the gas a little bit towards the end there and really increase that value and have a more substantial, more successful exit for them and their family when they go into that next stage. So, you having, as you said, taught at Wharton, had this book, worked with many, many small businesses along the way. If we can talk about what you do to help those companies as they're trying to get more efficient, more productive, more systematic, and grow their companies, scale their companies, I think that would be really, really impactful.
Well, that's a full question. It really is. How do I approach it? I guess because I deal with there isn't an industry I haven't dealt with. Maybe not automotive, but the rest of them I think I have. Let me approach that question. The business plan, strategic business planning is the common thread, and there's building blocks. There's 5 to 7 KPI, key performance indicators in any business that if you light those up, you can move it forward. Core of the question is I think to meet the business owner where they are and not try to drag them through some process of mine or anyone else's, that let them be comfortable for what they want to do. And that's hard because now I have to adjust to them fully. I can give them as much of the tools and the frameworks and the processes that they want, or I can give them none if that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the fastest growing companies that I've dealt with really have been on an outline and an Excel spreadsheet or on a PowerPoint. So I have to accept their form. I will not, force any process or framework or tool on any business owner ever. So I meet them where they are and where they want to go.
Okay.
And I try to assess early on in the relationship their learning preferences, and to make sure that they want it, that they're willing to commit, a certain amount of time per month, work on their business rather than in their business. They have to believe in it. They have to believe that an advisor can help them, just like they believe their lawyer could help them when they get in legal trouble, or their accountant can get their tax return done. If they believe it, it'll happen. And if they do a little bit of writing and they do half of the follow-up, they will make more money.
So, John, what would you say are some of the top business planning tips as you're talking with business owners and working with them? What are some of those top business planning tips that come to mind?
The first one that comes to mind is to have a well-articulated value proposition or a verbal written statement about what you do. Okay. What is it that you do, Armando? And when somebody asks you that question, value proposition needs to be quality. If it's quality, you will save so much time, so much money in marketing, where a lot of business growth energy goes, because people will understand what you do more readily. You won't have to market and sell as hard, assuming that there's demand for your product or service you're offering. Mm-hmm. So articulate the value proposition well. Even if you've been in business a long time, anyone can use a checkup on their value proposition. I wrote an article for entrepreneur.com, initials J. It's called "Does Your Value Proposition Need a Checkup?" Entrepreneur.com. So if any of your listeners are already in business for a while, feel like they don't need it, but they're not sure, go to entrepreneur.com and you can read that article. It was probably over 1 million views. But they didn't pay me, so I stopped writing for them. But back to your question. So top tips. Let's get the value proposition right. If you're looking to grow, let's get your go-to-market right, your sales and marketing, advertising, public relations, how people find out about you, your value proposition, and what you do. I mean, let's get that right. Let's get that in a form where the customer's comfortable and you're comfortable. You're good at it, and they're welcome to receive it. And that now you're more aligned to engage in some business, right? So let me give you, what's the one more? I guess the other business planning tip is what your question was focused on. It takes me so long to convince people there's power in the writing. If the business plan's in your head, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
So when
you get an incomplete for the class.
So
incomplete for the class from me.
When you say power in the writing, they've got to commit that to paper and write that down.
You really have to try it. Try writing down what you want to accomplish for the rest of this year. And then write out some action steps that you're going to take with deadlines and resources and people. Take some action steps and watch it happen. That's a simple way to test my words. Try it. So really, there's the powers in the writing. The powers of business planning is in the process, not in a format or plan style. Anybody that tries to tell you that, well, there's probably 13 must-haves in any quality business plan, but after that, it doesn't matter what the form takes. It really doesn't.
But they've got to have those key ingredients that you're talking about, so it works.
You want me to list them?
Sure.
Okay. Well, your value proposition. Let's spend the most of the time on that.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's the go-to-market, which is what the venture capitalists call it, and that's who's going to buy your clients, by the way, or buy your listeners, right? So they call it go-to-market, but it's really how do you sell? How do you market yourself? How do people find out about you? What's your PR? I mean, you got to have that in your business plan. So the other thing is milestone action planning, what we just talked about, really. What are the milestones you have for the rest of this year, next year, and maybe 5 years out? Like, where do you want to be? Those guideposts, when you have those powers in the writing, it guides them towards that goal. You need a competitor. You need to know what your competitors are doing. And artificial intelligence has made that easier,
Mm.
recently, and it's about to get better. But you need to understand how, the business owner needs to understand how they fit in their industry compared to who they're competing for business with. And when they do, they're more competitive. It's a better business model. So know your competition, know thy enemy, and know yourself. And because your customer is ultimately making a buying decision with you compared to your competitors if they're objective, right?
Yeah.
So, but they're not telling you what the salient attributes are. You got to figure it out, right? So, and really, so then, okay, what's that? 4 or 5? How much money are you going to make? How much money you want to make? You don't have to have like a formal budget, but let's at least get the basics right: the sales, the margins, the average transaction value, the number of customers you need to deliver those sales, how much money you need to make as a business owner, how much money you need to make, how much money can you afford to spend on payroll, occupancy costs, cost of goods, 3 top.
Are you wondering if you've missed anything in your financial planning? We hear that a lot from very smart, very successful people. Stop wondering. Offload that responsibility to professionals who do this for a living. Start by scheduling your founder strategy call at axiomcorp.com.
Those are 5. I'll make this quick because I'm probably rambling on here a little bit. But the management team, even if this person's a single lawyer, they have a team. They have a paralegal. They have an admin. They have a secretary. They have a junior lawyer, an intern. They have their accountant. They have their lawyer. They hopefully have a business advisor. They got maybe a peer group.
Right.
They got their office advisor. They got a team. Like, work your team out.
Right.
Your information systems are a part of your team. As strange as that sounds, but information systems is another critical piece of any quality business plan, especially if you're in the service business and you're communicating with your customers. So there's management team, there's human resources, so that goes beyond management and into maybe more hourly employees, frontline employees, people that are actually delivering. Operations is easy for any business owner, really, because it's who, what, where, when. How do you deliver your perfect offering to your customer? That section's pretty key. What else? One of my favorites is exit planning. I always teach exit planning because you don't know where you're going to end up if you don't tell yourself where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out how to get there. It's a lot easier when you know where you want to end up. Like if you know your dollar number that you need at exit, or your valuation, or your timeline, or the events by which you'll exit. I mean, it really does help. It makes your life a lot easier when you exit your business if you have an exit plan, and it's part of a quality business plan. It really is.
Right.
Do you want to keep going, or there's 13? I think I'm at 8.
Well,
I think.
Well, there's a lot you put in there. Let me, and I think we're going to come back and touch on some of those. I'm glad you threw all those out there because it gives a broader context of what needs to go into that successful business. And I'm going to shift gears just a little bit because you have a mastermind group that you run with clients of yours, and I had the privilege of you invited me in to come have a conversation with folks. And I really, it made me a little bit nervous because you said, don't prepare anything. I don't show up unprepared.
It'll get in your way. It'll get in your way. They're business owners. They're entrepreneurs. They're ADD. They don't like homework.
So you said, think of it as a fireside chat. We'll just have a conversation. And it was interesting to me we covered such a broad context of areas. So from your perspective, as you run that mastermind group, you have a certain client, a business type in mind that is perfect for that, where they are coachable and you can really help them. And they've got to be in the right mindset, in the right place in their company to really make that work. Maybe you can just talk about what is a good fit for you in that group that you run.
Right. First, let me preface that with financial management is a key part of any quality business plan, which is really what you do and what you have done. and it's such a critical part. And what your work, Armando, is very sweeping in that it helps not only the financial management of the company, but also the funding of the company and the funding of the business owner when they retire, from a number of perspectives. And so when we all flew into Scottsdale. Of course, I thought of you, and they all needed that, and they were very energized by your knowledge in those spaces and what you could do for them. And we're continuing to work on that. But to answer your question, basically, it is. I guess it takes a business owner that wants to be a better CEO. It makes a really good group member, somebody that is interested in professional development.
Okay.
Somebody that wants to know what other business owners are doing. Somebody that can learn from others' mistakes as well as their successes really gets a lot out of it. And it's interesting because I think they have to have at least 10, or for my current group, 10 or more employees minimum. Probably not more than 1,000. I think once you get more than 1,000 employees, it's a different level of complexity, different conversation.
Okay.
It's more administrative level conversations where these business owners are side by side delivering. We do. So it's very, very emotional at times, very passionate at times. But so somebody like that in the 3 to 50 million, 100 million revenue space, 10 to 1,000 employees, that's coachable. Some guys get a couple $100,000 in their checking account and they think they got it all down. That is not a good candidate for me. You know what I mean? Or maybe somebody that treats it like a hobby probably isn't a good candidate for me in this group anyway. Or somebody that, I don't know, doesn't want to grow. The energy it takes to grow, you got to work harder. And if you don't want to work harder, if you don't want to change, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I can't. Nobody can. Nobody can.
So I'll make a couple of observations, but what I saw of them, I saw that they were people who really cared about their business, cared about their families, cared about their employees. And and we use the expression, they don't know what they don't know. And that's true with anyone, for anything. But what I did observe is that there was very much a kind of a student mindset where they wanted to grow. They realized they needed expertise on the outside to help them and really sometimes help them see what they themselves couldn't see in their business. And there's that expression, the forest through the trees, you just can't see. And having that outside perspective, your perspective can be very beneficial in helping to identify areas that they themselves might not be aware of, and also being able to help them address those in a way that makes sense for them at that time in their business.
No, well said. You've given this a lot of thought, and I'm grateful for that, Armando. Thank you. I do care. I do it. I don't do it for the money. Although I have to have it, I do it for the wins. And watching people grow and make more money than they've ever made in their life turns me on.
Mm-hmm.
And they are hungry. It does take that spit in your eye and a growl in your gut to want to grow and make more than you ever made, or anyone in your family's ever made. It just takes a certain mindset. Working on your business, so I guess if a business owner, they have to work on their business. So if they feel like they can't step away for an hour to talk about next month and next quarter and next year, a mastermind group's not going to work well for them, or a business advisor is not going to work well for them because they're going to cancel. And they're going to think they have to deliver their product or service. And if you're sucked into that level of weed detail, and that's your priority day to day, stay small. Stay small, because that's what's going to happen.
Right. And for some, they're happy to be in that space, and that's where they're going to finish out their careers, and that's fine. But for others who want more, that's where you can be helpful. There's
28 million. There's 28 million small businesses in the United States. Last census, right? 20 million of them are under $100,000 in revenue.
Wow, it's a lot of small companies.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, most business owners just want a job. Really, they own a job. But what I don't know why you would do it. Well, take a job. I mean, you're risking your whole net worth for a job,
Hmm.
for a job level compensation. Not me. Well, I mean, I've owned what six different businesses in my career. I mean, you got to be all in. You know, and it's financially, you know that.
Right.
Um, so I mean, so I don't understand why anybody would want to own a company for what they could make taking a job for, because that's. But if you're willing to do the work and make a lot more money than you ever could on a salary position.
Yeah. And you were saying that for you, really 10 employees minimum, maybe 1,000 employees max, at least in terms of employees. What about revenue? Are you looking for some type of revenue range where they're they could be a really good fit for you and you for them?
Yeah, I used to be 5 to 50 million for the group, my mastermind groups, and now it's more like maybe 1 million, because information technology companies, a lot high revenue per employee. So, no, I'm really relaxed on the revenue side and more firm on the 10 employee side, because once you have 10 employees, it's like having 10 kids, right? If you don't have kids, you don't understand what it's like, and they gotta be dealt with, and they take most of your energy. And it's nice to talk to other business owners and an advisor about how to handle it. So if they're not at that 10, so the revenue is far distant to the head count.
Okay.
And I would say that includes contractors too. If somebody's just on 1099, I think that counts if they're actively working with them.
Yeah.
Different mentality, different mindset, but still, it's So to answer your question more directly, 2 million is probably would start to wonder if it
Okay.
would be a good fit.
Yeah, and you make a good point, John, that sometimes employees are actually W-2 employees who work for the company, but you can get in effect the same service level from independent contractors as well, and they are part of the team. They've got to be thought of that way, and they all need attention, just as your employees
Yeah,
do.
and to your point, Armando, the one of the things that makes my work and the business owner gel and successful is low turnover. If the business owner is having high turnover at W-2 or 1099 level, I can't help them as much.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, because they're constantly replacing what they had, whereas I'm trying to add to what they had.
Yeah, so they're having to
And it's
rebuild.
hard.
Yeah, they're having to rebuild
The
to
knowledge
maintain that.
transfer never happens. Stuff that you can only get from experience and getting your ass kicked. You know, you know what it's like. You got to get your nose bloodied if you're the first one over the wall. You know, and if you're new, it hasn't happened to you yet.
Right.
So,
Hey, John, you recently had a growth workshop in Chicago for your folks. Can you talk
all
about
right,
that?
right, right. That was kind of fun. I did a lot of these before COVID, and it's like playing football. It's a practice sport, so you have all this preparation work to do, and when you actually have to play in the game, it's a lot of fun. The practice was just awful. So 10 times as much as preparation to do a growth workshop as it is to perform the growth workshop. And when I get there, the business owner CEO is sick, right? But I've been working with the guy for 3 years, and he's ready to scale. So I show up, and he can hardly talk. I didn't realize how much of a benefit that was, because usually the business owner CEO is dominant, right? And now they're all looking at me. Now I knew about everybody in the room, or the whole management team. I had some contact with them, so they were comfortable with me, and they all opened up, and they got energized about the possibilities of growth, about having their compensation packages increase, right? How much money they could make, how much money the company could make, the support staff that they would need to get to a certain growth level, which we did live, right on the fly. Like, we're going to hire this people once you get this level of revenue in, but we need the revenue to come in before the expense to as much as possible. And we had a really, really good day. And actually, the company's taking off because everybody did a little bit of writing, everybody contributed, everybody committed. And the CEO, the business owner, is saying more whoa than sick 'em. You know what I mean? If you got to say sick 'em, you got a problem. If you got to say whoa, that's a good thing. So I think that was a fun workshop because now this guy has to say whoa, wait a minute. We can't go into all these markets right away. We have to prioritize this. He's being a CEO. He's allocating resources and time, and he and I together are watching his money, making sure he's profitable growth, not growing. And it's been a real kick in 2023, 2024. Thanks for asking. Thanks for remembering.
No, certainly. Yeah. So sometimes this was an off-site retreat in effect where you were just talking about.
Yeah, for one company. So it wasn't part of my mastermind group. I flew in for a couple of days just to work on their growth for 2024, and they set a record last quarter.
Wow, fantastic!
So
for a company,
record last quarter.
And so John, for a company that hasn't gone through that type of experience, the one that you're talking about, when would they want to do something like that? When would be the right time for them to really embark on that kind of a workshop with you? And then by doing that, what should they expect to result in the next year, 2, 3, for a business owner who's not taken their employees through that type of an exercise?
Great question. I think that, well, first they have to want it. You know, the top person has to want scale, has to want to grow.
Okay.
So in advance, it isn't like, I wouldn't recommend just calling me up and say, come in and do a growth workshop for me. I think it really does help to spend months working together to get the team ready. Not just the team, Armando, you got to get resources ready.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get processes ready, at least get them started. Have some parameters around what's going to be spent and what's going to be done. Not a detailed plan per se, but some parameters around the management team, because it doesn't work. The workshops don't work well if the CEO, the business owner, is the only one all in.
Okay. So maybe some advanced work to where they can be all in to help them be in the best position to receive the information and have a good dialogue and really get that inspiration, motivation, excitement that can be beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work if somebody were just call me and say, hey, fly in to Scottsdale, you don't know me or my company, and do a growth workshop. I could do it, but it wouldn't be as successful because, I'm intimidating. I don't mean to be, but it is intimidating when an outsider comes in and they look at you as a consultant and they're going to take their jobs and they feel threatened by a reorganization or, most of human thought is negative. So you have to have time to prepare the positive thoughts, and believe it, but I'm not there to hatch it or take anything away from them per se.
Mm-hmm.
And that trust takes time to build.
So let me fast forward in that company's life cycle a little bit. So let's say that you help the company grow some, increase their profit, increase revenues, get that team in place, systems, processes, and really get a company that now is humming and now it's producing the profit that it has not done before. And now some time goes by and they're wondering about their own succession, about the business beyond them, and they're thinking about their own family and stepping out. And that's a whole nother endeavor, a whole nother effort to be undertaken. As you're positioning that company for that stage, how are you helping them begin to navigate that and understand what needs to happen for that successful succession and or exit?
Well, let's face it, I'm a generalist. I mean, I know I'm good at a lot of things and great at nothing, right? So, but you are a specialist in wealth management and
Mhm.
in a more broad spectrum of wealth management that I've and you're probably asking this question because you saw the people I brought to Scottsdale. They're
Right,
ready to talk about ESOPs. They're ready to talk about trust or
right,
defined benefits.
right. They're
They're
ready.
ready to talk about exit planning. They're thinking about what they've already accomplished more than they thought they ever could. Now, what am I going to do with my life
Right,
when I grow up, right?
right.
And so the beauty of and one of the reasons we came to Scottsdale, I was for you, but I haven't seen you in so long. It was fun to see you and hang out with you for a while, and then learn more about what you do, and then but you were a perfect fit for that stage of okay, now I have all this money. What am I going to do with it? What's my business worth? Can I really? And I've been telling them for years, you're going to make your most money when you exit, not when you operate.
Yeah.
I mean, I helped I had an East Coast transportation, no, Midwest transportation company in that group you were in, and now probably in the 38 to 45 million dollar range. Had hubs up and down the East Coast, but they're based in the Midwest. And my task was to get the EBITDA up so they could sell it.
Hmm.
The guys were in their late 60s, early 70s. They took, they didn't have the oomph they used to have, and they worked on getting their EBITDA up
Yeah.
and their cash flow up, and they did, and they learned a lot. They've learned a lot. They got their team ready to transition more on the operations side. They exited for what, $12 million, and they'll never have to work again.
Yeah. Yeah. And then EBITDA, of course, is often a multiple, a number of times that comes out to be the value or value range, of course. So when you focus specifically on increasing that, making that a larger number, that means to them a larger dollar price tag when they sell that company. So it sounds like that
Yeah.
was
So
more of a focused, more focus on that than maybe an earlier stage company.
yeah, great point. Great point. And the earlier you can focus on it, the better. Because really, how business owners can make the most money, and this, but I want to say it for your listeners, is if you can beat the industry average. Like there's an average multiple that your competitors are going to go out for because they're performing at an average profit level. But if you can crush your industry average, you're going to crush your exit value. For example, last month I had a dermatologist. I got to keep it vague here. Dermatologist client worked on cosmetic and medical dermatology, skincare.
Yeah.
And most of the practice was in the aesthetic side because that's where more of the margins were. But I worked with her for 5 years, and we got her EBITDA and her profitability to a point where she probably exited for twice the value of her competitors.
Hmm. Yeah, that's substantial.
She'll never have to work again.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to, but she loves medicine, and now she doesn't have to worry so much about the business of medicine anymore. She can just practice dermatology, and that's good for her because she needed somebody like me because they don't teach accounting in medical school, Armando.
Right, right. And they don't teach you what makes your business valuable. Is it those high
Right.
profit margin services that you're offering, or is it the stuff that's more plain vanilla that anybody can do? Well, it takes somebody like you to come in and look at those, identify those, and maybe reallocate resources to make the company more valuable because you know what is driving value in that business.
Well, let me give your listeners, your business owner listeners, some motivation, if I can.
Okay,
So,
certainly.
2 quick tips for a enriching exit plan. So it's just a part of a business plan. It can be a page, it can be 5 pages.
Hmm.
To answer 2 questions. What's my business worth? Know it. Know how the world values your business, not what your spouse wants you to make on exit. Right? They don't care what you put into it. They don't care what you paid for it. How does the world value your business? Know that formula. That's question 1. What's my business worth? Question 2, who's going to buy you? Make a list. Write it down. The power's in the writing. Here we go again. Write it down. Make a list. It could be suppliers. It could be friendly competitors. It could be private equity groups. It could be angel investors. It could be whatever. Make a list. And I want names. Put names down. Emails, phone numbers, websites, addresses. A short list of 10. You can do that pretty quickly.
Hmm.
You can do it in half a day, and you have an exit strategy. Now they're ready to work with you, Armando. Right?
Well, that is one
Now
of
they'll
the
get all
questions
excited. Now they get all excited.
well, that is what happens. They've got a certain lifestyle that is paid for by that company, and once the company goes away, nobody ever wants to go backwards in terms of living their lifestyle. They want to keep that lifestyle or make it better, meaning more vacations or more stuff or more impact in
Yeah, they have more time to spend money. Right?
Right, right. So yeah, so making sure that beyond the company that they have the lifestyle they want, that's often an area that we focus on because that lifestyle is what we're having to quantify and measure. And then it's the lifestyle today. Well, what if you live to be 100 years old? How do we support that for the entire time? And then often beyond for the next generation, the kids, grandkids, impact in the community. I met with the business owner this morning who's been incredibly successful in her business. And she was fortunate enough that she could actually fund her own private foundation and now is giving
Oh,
scholarships
good for
out.
her.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was just amazing to hear the success and the humbleness
Yeah.
of her, but the impact she's having on helping people with these scholarships in her private foundation. She realizes these are people who are often first in their families to go to college, and she's the one who's helping that to happen.
Yeah, she's
So,
got a legacy. I hope you can, as I know you can. I hope she lets you deliver more of her legacy, because we need people like that. Because there are a lot of people in the U.S. that are disadvantaged, and they just
right,
need a little help to make it through. And so we need philanthropists like your potential client. I
right.
hope she lets you do that.
Right. Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
great.
It's fun to talk with people when they've been able to have that kind of success and see them really
Yeah.
impacting not just themselves and their family financially, but seeing them, tend to the greater good because they can. And they often tell me they feel blessed. They feel that they are stewards of these funds and they need to have some good impact beyond the family, including the family, yes, but beyond the family in their community and beyond that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's important to a lot. Philanthropy is a blast, and I love doing it. I love going to the galas and the golf outings, and I love writing the checks. And though they don't have as many zeros as I'd like to put on them, you still write them. And it's you meet some great people in those venues that you'll never meet anywhere. Oh, can I digress just real quick?
Certainly.
So I went to an East Coast competitors of yours webinar workshop. It was about annuities, and the one fascinating thing about the annuities I thought was, and I don't have it in my portfolio, and I need it. So I'd love if you do something about annuities, either write or have a podcast. Please forward it to me.
Certainly.
Um, but what I learned was, it's insurance. It's not pension. It's not Social Security. It's not a 401k. It's insured, and to have that annuity take care of your food, your housing, your health insurance, the clothes, like your break even as a family.
Right.
as
Yeah.
a person, as a family. Do you agree? Do you agree that that's
I,
how
100%.
valuation?
Yes, we like to see clients have a certain level of their base income covered from some guaranteed source. And typically that's Social Security. It's maybe a military pension, maybe it's a pension from a company. But when there is not enough from that guaranteed source to cover the bases, then that's where an annuity product, maybe a fixed indexed annuity that is an insurance product, not an investment, but that insurance product is designed to provide that monthly recurring monthly income for the family for the rest of their life. And what I'll often say is, if you're planning that African safari, that once in a lifetime African safari, and the world kind of goes down the tubes, we don't want you to change your vacation plans, and you don't want to change those either because something happened that threw you off. When you have enough to cover the base, the monthly income base of the family, then it gives you the family that confidence and assurance that whatever they're planning and trying to do, they can still keep on that cadence without disruption. And that's what is having that base. That's what it does for the family. It provides that stability and that consistency. And many people today, they don't have the pensions that provide that. There isn't
Right,
enough from Social
right,
Security.
right.
So the only way to really get that is to look at maybe an annuity product, or maybe even looking at some type of a muni bond portfolio, maybe US
Right.
Treasuries, but something that is secure, that's going to provide that family that monthly income. So if things start going down,
Dividend, dividend
they're not
yield.
worried.
Yeah.
They're not worried about
Mhm.
it as worried about it.
Yeah, and I think when people worry about their retirement, they worry about running out of money, or
Right,
worrying about not having their health care, their medicines covered, or whatever,
right.
or not enough to leave their kids. And I think that um, I think you should have a mix of them all. You know better than me, and I guess I'm asking you because thank you for that. I need to know,
Certainly, certainly.
and I'd love to learn more. I think once you have those your monthly needs met, and it's guaranteed until you die, I think it's easier to enjoy retirement.
Well, exactly. And there have been studies, numerous studies, John, that Towers Watson did one years ago. I think it was in 2012. But the study was just retirees. Who are the happiest retirees? And you know who they were? The retirees who had a steady monthly paycheck.
No kidding. It makes sense then.
Exactly.
God, I feel like I hit the lottery here with the knowledge. Anyway, not the
And
money, but with the knowledge.
it's getting that recurring, because it takes the worry off. And it was kind of funny.
Well, everybody worries about it. Everybody worries about running out of money. Everybody worries
Right,
about stock market diving. Everybody worries about Social Security drying up. Pension plans, they're not secure. They could get raided.
right.
Insurance companies, they're under law. They're highly regulated.
They
They're
are, and
probably less likely. They're less likely to get raided or go.
right.
They have reinsurance to back them up. I mean, it's a very secure instrument, and I want to learn more about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And they're,
I'd love to talk online in the future. Sorry, I don't
certainly.
mean to take away from
No, no, no,
anything your
no, no.
clients want to learn about.
No, I do want to ask you though, one thing that is happening today that is fairly new is artificial intelligence. And you're hearing about it, you're seeing it, news articles every day. As business owners are continuing with their quest to grow their business and scale it, how do you see AI having an impact, or potentially having an impact that can help them get there?
Great question. Woo! That's a podcast unto itself, isn't it?
Probably is.
Um, well, let's start with where we are today as of this podcast. I mean, and here's where we are. I mean, we're on the precipice, on the dawn of a new era. We are today what Netscape was in what, 90 what,
Right.
5?
Yeah, a long time ago. Ancient
But
history.
the internet, I watched it grow up. I'm showing my age here, but I watched it become bulletin board clunky, hard to use, to just go user friendly and just get faster and faster, but more slowly over time. Armando, artificial intelligence. oh my gosh, there are trillions of dollars flowing in, and they're demanding performance now. I'm seeing research coming out of the Wharton School that's not published yet, that it will be published in the summer, I think, in the journals, professional journals. But the research is conclusive, definitively, that when human interaction and AI works best. AI alone is not going to do a damn thing for you. There's certain levels of human intervention that have to happen. So, and that sums up a lot of research. So you have to guide AI with data. You have to guide it with the right proper questions, the proper programming, the proper tools. So how can I help your listener? If you haven't started with AI, it's okay. Just get a free account on ChatGPT or Read AI or even Zoom. We're on Zoom right now. I use Zoom AI every time I meet, and they give me a summary of my meeting notes, and I can use those into action steps. And it's better now than it was last month, and it's better now than it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So get started. If you haven't started, embrace it to the extent you can. If you hate technology, I get it, but you're going to get left behind. And I think some of the things that it can do the best for a business owner: monitor your competitors, monitor price changes, make changes. Chatbots, unbelievable. Customer service, you get those stupid surveys after everything you buy today from Amazon. How would you rate us? Was it good for you too? I mean, the chatbot AI is going to go so much further, and it's going to see if you need anything else, and it's going to be automated. It's getting better every month. Sales processes. It's not going to sell for you, but it can clean up your databases. It can make your sales calls, you'll spend less time on it. It can inform you of best practices in your industry. It's like my peer group, my business owner peer group. Like, we all know what each other's doing, and it's like a best practice. Well, each industry is unique in a way, and AI can monitor that for you. It's exciting. It really is exciting. And it's happening fast.
It is happening fast. It is happening very, very fast. And we've probably barely even scratched the surface on what it can do and what it might lead to. But it is here.
I think it helps to embrace it. I think it helps to not think of the movie Terminator and Terminator 2 when you think of, what was it, Skynet in that movie? I mean, no. I really don't believe that in our lifetime we're going to have Skynet want to take us out. I mean, it's only as good as we make it. And, it can do whatever it is you want to do. The writing capability of AI today, got to take advantage of it. It's brilliant.
It is amazing.
I mean, I think it can make a good writer great. I don't think it can write a novel that will make you cry yet, but I think it would help you do it faster.
Yeah.
I think it would give you things to think about. So think of it as like a good Google search on steroids or turbocharge. It's secondary research today. Unless you have human interaction, data set involvement, then you can take it to another level beyond secondary research. Have it active in your processes.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. It really is.
It is fascinating.
Let's keep in touch on that one too.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. So, John, let me just ask you: a lot of people start a company and they don't know what they're doing, but somehow they build a successful business and they get to a certain point, and that's kind of where they hover. Whether they really want to or not, that's kind of where they hover. And there are many, I'd say, who would really like to talk with you and just have a conversation with you, but they might be asking themselves if they're a good fit for you or not, based on where they are with their company, number of employees, industry. And we've known each other a long time, you and I, and you've got just a ton of experience that you bring with you to every conversation you have.
You're trying to say I'm old, Armando? You're trying to say I'm old in a nice way.
We're about the same age, John. So for that business owner who just they don't know what they don't know, but they see you as this savvy, experienced business consultant, who's done just a variety of different industries, and they might want to have a conversation with you. What would you say to them if they're maybe a little hesitant or a little bit afraid to reach out to have that conversation with you? What would you say that where they would want to pick up that phone and get and reach out to you, or get on the internet, send you an email and say, John, I want to talk with you? What would help them understand how much value you can help them achieve or attain in their business and otherwise by working with you, talking with you, and just seeing where that might go?
Thank you for asking. A lot of times I wonder, like, don't suffer alone. If your listener is really stuck, has been flat sales for years, don't do that to yourself. And then you're watching your costs go up and sales are flat, and your competition's taking people away, and you're working your butt off just to hang on to it. Like, in a situation like that, don't do it alone. That's a good sign you might need somebody like me.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be me, it's somebody like me. If you're hungry, if you got a growl in your gut, spit in your eye, it's a good time. I mean, if you want to buy another business, a quick way to grow is acquisitive growth. If you've never bought a company before, you better know what the hell you're doing. And somebody that's bought companies before knows. So it's a shark tank. It's a minefield. You don't want to do that alone. But it's hard to grow your business at 10 to 15% organically every year. But just imagine growing at 40, 50%, or even doubling it in a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you can do when you buy a competitor, or a proper competitor. So that kind of hunger. I guess if your employees are driving you nuts and you feel like you don't have the right asses in the classes, or you feel like you don't have the right team in place. Are we still live?
Yes.
That's a good sign that you might need somebody like me. You know what I mean? Like, you just want to pull your head out and screaming too much at the end of the day. Give Armando a call first and yell at him, and then ask for my number if he thinks it's appropriate. But no, seriously, I shouldn't say this, but anybody that's bought the 1 hour business plan and reaches out, I give 15 minutes for free, as long as they can speak English. Any listener of yours, I'll give an hour for free.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So if they speak,
but arm me with data. You can't give me enough information. You can't tell me enough. And obviously, financial statements speak volumes. Business plans speak even more. Anything you can tell me about the situation you're in and where you want to go is a really, really good start to a good relationship. And so reach out to Armando. You have his contact information, and we'll forward you mine.
Okay, that sounds great. And then, John, it seems to me that if a business owner is thinking or wondering about retirement, their own stepping out of that company, that would be another opportunity where it may be worth a phone call with you, a conversation with you, to just kind of see where they are, gauge where they are, and are they in the right place where they might want to they might benefit from having some time with you before.
Yeah, I agree. And you as well. So I know we're probably running out of time, but if you're losing money or breaking even, you're not ready yet. You got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the work done, and we'll make you a hell of a lot more money than you could ever make selling your business at break even or at a loss.
Yeah.
Get you profitable. Let's get you people interested. Let's expand the people who will potentially buy you, and get your valuation up. And that's what I do.
Good.
And after I'm done, hopefully they have somebody like Armando Roman that's been a CPA, that's a wealth manager, that cares and isn't in it just for the money, and wants to do good work.
Right, and take care of the family. Because that's
thank you for doing what you do too.
Oh, thank you. No, it's my pleasure. We like working with with people who are sticking their neck out to grow and build a company when, not everyone's willing to do that. And when they can do that and really build that wealth from nothing, it's a beautiful thing.
It's impressive.
And,
Yeah.
and we see them taking care of their family, their extended family, the community at large, and doing good things with those dollars that were not there when they came into this world. And everybody wins. Everybody.
It sounds like a great retirement, doesn't it, that way? It really does. Makes me look forward to getting older, Armando. I can't wait. As long as I don't act old, dude. That's all I care about.
Well, good. Well, John, this has been great.
Thank you, my brother.
We've covered a lot. Thank you for the conversation. And what we'll do, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, we'll ask them if you like, they can reach out to you or reach out to us. We'll be sure to connect you. Thank you for that offer of any of the folks that we connect you with. You're going to give them more time than you normally would to somebody who's not coming through us. So thank you for that, John.
Oh, you're welcome, Armando. It's a pleasure. And congratulations on doing what you do and the success you're having in Scottsdale.
Thank you.
With the Founders Forum and the wealth management work that you do. It's kind of impressive. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. All right. Bye now.
All right. Bye now.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Founders Guidepost. When you think about exiting your business, that's often a once-in-a-lifetime event with no do-overs, and the stakes can be very high for your family. Before making that leap, ask for your free copy of our Scottsdale Founders Forum white paper, packed full with information that first-time sellers should know before exit. And schedule your 30-minute Founders Strategy Call at axiomcorp.com. Your exit can be amazing, everything you dreamed of, when you plan ahead and take all the appropriate and necessary steps. That's what's possible. Until next time, I'm your host, Armando.